This is the code for the firmware on the particle board. Um, we have not too many libraries. Did the library for the sensor, and then the library to check. I think it's STA and SCL, see if they're working. And then we have the vector library, which is a basic C library. Um, and then we have our functions to store things. We have our states to store which state we're in. We have our first state, which is check conditions. We have the store string, which this is how we deal with the string that is sent from the server. The server calls this function, and then we break up the string into its parts, which is the start hour, the end hour, and the time the intervals in between testing the patient's heart rate and blood oxygen level. And we start up the thing, and we check if the sensor is working, and then we set up the sensor. The switch Aikman checks if it's at the current state, and then it adjusts for the time difference between the time thing the particle uses, which is not in Mountain Standard. And then we add the amount of minutes that are in there. This is just used for reading it from the server. Then we check if it's in the parameters. We set the next state, and then we set the timer for the 5 minutes. We get the inputs, and if it is above 40, we go in this while loop, and we get 20 of them. And wait, nope, sorry. We check this. Sorry, this is for checking. This is for checking if the patient has their finger on there. If it isn't, it's going to go on this while loop blinking or until the time is up. That's what it is. And then we check if it's above 40 in this last second. And if it is, we go to publish data. And if it isn't, we go to the waiting interval, which just waits till the next capture. In the publish case, we run this for loop because we know that someone has their finger on it. So we run through it 4 times, and then we divide both of the inputs by 20 and then divide them by the respective normalizing values, which gives us, and then we get the timestamp, which I'll show you later. If the Wi-Fi is good, then we will just publish it, which is down here. But if it isn't good, we have this else statement. All that does is push it back into an array, which stores for 24 hours. You can see here, if it doesn't, it clears the array. And once that array, if we go back online, we go through this for loop, which posts all of them in succession. And then we go to the wait interval, which just waits until the next thing, which is declared by this up here. And then we have at the very bottom our MST timestamp, which just means we're getting the Mountain Standard Time. This is just adjusting for hours. I didn't put February in there because I didn't feel like doing it. And so and then we return it as this long string, which goes to the publish. So there is the firmware.